Hi everyone, my name is Sparrow and I'm really excited to present to you my research today. So, social media is very prominent today. I myself as an international student use it all the time to keep up to date with my friends back home, my country status, things like that, and just to stay connected. Social media is effective in the spread of information, communication, whether it's factual, biased, or it's even misinformation. Why I think this topic is important is because we as a society use it day to day and need to know its influence. I'm sorry, there was a little bit of an issue there. Alrighty, so my literature review. When I was looking through a bunch of literature, trying to learn what I can about social media and its effects, there were different themes that came up, and these themes were quite prominent. So, ethnicity. I found a study that showed a group of women from a specific ethnic group and what its effects were with being exposed to body images compared to other ethnic groups. And the satisfaction levels were monitored. The limitations of the studies were that there were only 2 ethnic groups that were compared to each other. Another topic that I looked at was BMI. I found an article that tested to see if subjects knew what BMI was before undergoing an investigation, to see whether knowledge of the BMI system played a role. Religion. So religion was tested to see if there were religious attributes, values that contributed towards how women saw themselves and how they were viewing their body image. So this article tested and saw that there was a small role, but there was a limitation because they only used 2 religious groups. Age. I found an article that tested how susceptible the youth is to the influence of the app Instagram, which is a form of social media, and how much time they spend on that app. I wanted to replicate their study because I wanted to include older women and other groups of people. Country and culture. So I found a study that used specifically the Spanish population, and I wanted to replicate this study because I wanted to determine if culture played a role as well as the age, because that's what they were investigating. Their participants were aged from 18 to 50. What did I focus on? I focused specifically on if the levels of confidence and dissatisfaction changed due to being exposed to social media. My form of social media was a video. To see if women were more susceptible to influence by social media than a different identity, and if age plays a role in whether participants are influenced or not. To test this, I gathered information from my participants in the form of a survey. So, my methods. I chose Instagram as it is a media platform that is based around images. I created a survey that I used within my experiment that I sent throughout multiple different forms of social media, including iMessage, WhatsApp, Snapchat. I also created a QR code that I went into classrooms and I provided for the learners, and they would use their phone and scan the QR code and use the survey accordingly. My participants were a wide range of ages. They were from different countries, and there were men, women, and non-binary people. So, when I did this investigation previously, as I did it last year, there were some issues that I found throughout my research process, and one of the main things was definitely how I phrased my questions and my answer keys. So, in my previous study, I used questions like, do you feel bad about your body image? Do you feel better about your body image after watching this video? And do you feel worse about your body image? Things along those lines. I changed it because there needed to be consistency throughout the survey and the study. So, for example, I have the before video and after video, they are the same consistent questions. I feel dissatisfied with my body on a scale of 1 to 7, which I'll show you in the next slide, versus I feel confident in my body. These were my answer keys in the previous study, which was yes or no, versus on a scale of 1 to 7. 1 was strongly agree and 1 was strongly disagree and 7 was strongly agree. So my methods, how I actually set up the survey, was I had pre-video questions, then I had my video, post-video questions, then demographic questions. This was my video that they were presented with. So, how did I actually create this? I created my own Instagram for this investigation. I took a screen recording of the action of being on social media, and I uploaded the video. I asked that my participants watch this video on a phone because I specifically set up the video to replicate scrolling on Instagram. How I was able to research which specific women to show. I, as a person who is involved on social media, can also put 2 and 2 together about what women were of influence. I also found an article about top 20 women of influence of 2025 and 2026. I was also able to interact through multiple ways, whether it be by actually searching handles of these women or going through tagged videos and going onto their platforms. So I used multiple influencers. I used social media influencers, people that were models, as well as people that were of a certain fitness journey. This video did not have sound because there's a possibility that music could have influenced how my participants felt. So my results. This was my correlation matrix, and I color-coded my data according to each subject. Age is in orange, identity is in pink, confidence is in purple, dissatisfaction is in blue, and media engagement is in green. I want to start off with age. The research found that the correlation between age and exercise frequency is a negative correlation of 0.555, which indicates that younger aged participants were more frequently exercising than older aged participants. Identity. As my main target group was to measure women, the results showed that female participants showed less confidence and more dissatisfaction levels after being exposed to the video, whilst male participants showed more confidence and less dissatisfaction after being exposed to the video. Non-binary people showed less dissatisfaction levels after watching the video. Again, my main target group was women. Even though women showed less confidence and more dissatisfaction, this was due to being compared to men. This wasn't actually a part of what I was investigating. Confidence. When we correlated confidence and dissatisfaction, we found a positive statistically significant correlation of 0.852 between confidence pre and confidence post, indicating that individuals who had pre-existing confidence had confidence after the video. A negative statistically significant correlation of negative 0.630 was found between confidence pre and dissatisfaction post. This indicates that individuals who had pre-existing confidence showed less dissatisfaction after watching the video and vice versa. We could also say that individuals who were dissatisfied before watching the video showed a negative statistically significant correlation of negative 0.682 with confidence post. Dissatisfaction. The data shows a strong statistically significant correlation of 0.752 between dissatisfaction pre and post. This shows that participants who were dissatisfied prior to this investigation and to the video were dissatisfied after. Media engagement. When correlating media engagement with confidence and dissatisfaction, one can see that there is a statistically significant correlation of 0.282 of confidence pre and 0.271 of confidence post with media engagement. This indicates that participants with higher media engagement were more confident. The positive correlation statistically says that there are more engaged participants on media, and they also have a high exercise intake. This correlation is 0.371. I then did a regression analysis with my academic mentor, Dr. Christina Mazakis, and we found that there was a positive correlation of 0.8118, which showed that people who had confidence before had confidence after the video. This was also said in the correlation table. The negative correlation of negative 0.1694 was statistically significant because there was a slight change in lowering confidence. There was a small percentage of participants that had their confidence level influenced after they paid attention. This is important because it shows that people lost interest before the people who did indeed pay attention, they had an effect. The positive correlation of 0.5286 showed that men were more confident than women in general. So gender plays a role in the level of confidence. So there were two models that I used, and majority of the portion of post-confidence of the participants had a significant amount of pre-confidence. As you can see in Model 1 with 0.729 and Model 2 of 0.783 was a 5% difference. This would mean that individuals' initial confidence levels played majority of the role, while other attributes contributed slightly. With the model comparisons, Model 1 is the isolated IV confidence, while Model 2 is all IVs together. This was to see if there would be a difference between multiple IVs and the isolated IV. Model 1 is shown to be better than Model 2 due to its simplicity. So, in dissatisfaction, the positive correlation of 0.69895 showed that these participants were dissatisfied before the video and they were dissatisfied after, again making reference to my correlation table. And then for identity, there was a negative correlation of negative 0.42279, showed that men were less dissatisfied. The number is not statistically significant, so no claim can be made, but by comparing gender, the data indicates that men were less dissatisfied compared to women. This is again with my models. So majority of post-dissatisfaction was because the participants had a significant amount of dissatisfaction prior. As you can see in the model 1, which was a positive correlation of 0.611 and model 2 of 0.634, this would mean that individuals' initial dissatisfaction levels played a role. For model comparisons, Model 1 is still the isolated IV of dissatisfaction, whilst Model 2 is all IVs together. Again, it was to see if there would be a difference in isolated IVs. Now, what did I learn from the study? I was trying to learn whether image played a role in how women's body satisfaction can be influenced by social media, as well as young women potentially spending more time on social media, as I gathered this idea from the literature. With confidence and dissatisfaction levels, my study did not have a significant influence over participants' confidence and dissatisfaction levels. The correlation table highlighted that individuals who had pre-existing confidence and dissatisfaction tend to be nearly the same after being exposed to my video. Identity. I learned that men reported to have more confidence and less dissatisfaction levels after the video than women. Media engagement. While my initial hypothesis was to investigate the influence of social media and measure its negative impacts, this study didn't find any statistically significant data between media engagement and dissatisfaction levels. We rather found that statistically significant correlation was found between media engagement and confidence pre and post, highlighting a positive influence. The result goes against the literature I have been investigating and used as my reference throughout my study. Age and exercise. While there was no specific variables I intended to look at, they showed a younger population is more frequently going to exercise. My limitations. In my previous study, I had a lot of limitations, and one of the main things being my overall research productions and procedures, but this time I had some similarities in my limitations, which was my sample size. I needed my subjects to be more consistent, equal amount of people throughout all IVs, so that would be my age, that would be country and origin, as well as identity. The length. This kind of investigation needs to be over a longer period of time. Mine was in a 15-minute video. So another issue was having a contrived situation. Majority of my participants knew that it was for a research study, and they had no power over the scrolling. As well as body image perspective. Everyone has different ideal body images, and this was hard to replicate as I measured everyone on the same basis. If there were more options to create specific body images, this could have had a better statistically significant correlation table, as well as had more of an influence. So these were comparisons between my last study, what my future directions would be, and my future directions for this study. So previously, I wanted to get a larger sample size. I wanted to improve my experimental methods, bring more groups into the study, as I previously just did women, and create a controlled environment. This time for my future references, or my future directions, I will go for more diversity and consistency with my participants, extend my research to a longer period of time, creating a personalized algorithm that exposes my participant to their preferred content, conducting more in-depth analysis to understand what my data was telling me, as well as ask more specific questions about body image. So in conclusion, again, making reference to this one specific article, which is that social media is in our society and it does have an effect, but also social media not only keeps us updated with information, it plays a huge role. Due to this reason, I wanted to understand the extent of its effects and what it could possibly do. After going through various literature, I found out that they did not have the same results as myself, and social media and body image concerns was a current research and showed future directions and how it sparked my interest, and I initially wanted to replicate that study. I couldn't fully replicate it due to not having enough participants and due to my actual research methods, but I want to do that in the future. Overall, the study has influenced me to conduct future research, and I encourage other people to also have this idea. Special acknowledgements. I want to thank Quincy University and the tutoring system, specifically Mahi Panchal. Thank you so much for helping me. She helped me decipher what my research was. And thank you as well to Dr. Mizakis for helping me with my analysis and, again, dissecting my data.